Hey guys, welcome to your next project. In this React Native project, we're going to be building an item lister. Now this could be a grocery list or a to-do list, anything really. It's just going to be items that have a title and an ID. And we're going to use Firebase, which is a cloud-based NoSQL database. Alright, so I'll show you how to create a Firebase account. We're going to create a simple database. You can see we have this database with an items table, and each one has an ID and a title. Okay, now this is the application here, and you can see we have item 1 through 5. If we want to get rid of an item, we can just click on it and that'll clear it out. You can see that updated live and cleared that out as well. If we want to add an item, we can click down here. That'll open up a modal, and let's enter an item here, and we'll just say test. Okay, and then we'll just click Save Item. And there it shows up right here. It also shows up here, and you can see that Firebase actually generates an ID for us, also called a key. So that's what we'll be building. We'll also use a custom status bar. You can change the color and the look of the status bar, and some nice styling as well. So that's it. In the next video, we will get into it. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and get started on our Firebase React Native project. So first thing I want to do is create a database in Firebase. So if you don't have an account, just go to firebase.google.com, create an account, and then click on the Go to Console button up in the menu, which should be up here if you're not in the console. So from here we're going to create a new project, and I'm going to call this Itemlister and click Create Project. Alright, so now it's going to bring you to a page like this, and if you click on this Add Firebase to your web app, you'll see all your information, API key, and so on, and you'll want that for later, so just keep that in mind. Now we're going to go to Database, and what we want to do is create an events collection. So if you go into this bar right here and just say items and go, and then what I'm going to do is import some JSON from a file which you'll have in your resources for this project. So I'm going to say import JSON and then browse, and it's called items.json, and we're going to import that. Okay, and that's just going to give us a couple items, item 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now that we have some data in there, next thing I'm going to do is click on rules, and we're not going to get into authentication because it's too much for this project. So we're going to change read and write. Instead of this auth not equal to null, we're going to change it to true. Okay, so that we can read and write without actually having to authenticate. And then just click publish. Actually, you know what? We don't want the quotes, so let's get rid of those. Alright, so publish. And it's going to tell us that anyone can read and write, so we'll just dismiss that. And then that's pretty much all there is to setting up the database for now. So now we're going to go and create our application. I'm using Commander for Windows, but you can use any terminal or command line. And we're going to set up, let's say, React Native, and we want to init a new project, and we're going to call this Itemlister. Okay, and that's going to run. I'm also going to open up the Android virtual device over here by saying Android AVD. Okay, and we're going to just open up this one here and click Start. So that should launch the device. Alright, so now that that's open, let's go down here and let's cd into Itemlister. Oops. Okay, and then from here we're going to run React. Actually, I want to run React start up here. So let's also cd into Itemlister. And then we'll run React native start up the packager, and then down here we'll run React Native run-android. And that should open it up on our virtual device. Okay, and I'm just going to open that folder up in Atom. All right. So that's still running, but I'm just going to create a folder called app. And in here we'll create a folder called components. All right, so that's running. Now, we're going to do most of the stuff in the index Android file or the index iOS, whatever you're using. And then, because we need to bring in Firebase, we need to configure Firebase, and we're doing all of that from within the index file. We will have an extra separate component for the toolbar and for the add button. All right, so let's go ahead and create those components. We'll say new folder, toolbar, and we'll have a file called toolbar.js, and then we're going to have a folder called add button, and a new file called add button.js. Okay, and we'll just copy what we have in the index Android, put that in toolbar. Okay, we're actually going to use a separate style.js file, so we don't need any of these styles in our components. So let's change this to toolbar. This. Okay, and then let's see, we'll just get rid of that. Now we can actually change the look of the style or the color of the style status bar here with the battery symbol and all that, the clock, by using the status bar component. So I'm going to bring that in, status bar, and let's see, we're going to go down in our view. We don't need this style here, and then right here we're going to put in the status bar. Alright, so, and we can add some properties for this. We can add a background color. So let's set that, I'm going to set that to coral, which is an orangey color. And then the bar style, we're going to set that to light content. Okay, so you can set it to be dark or light. And let's see, in this text, I want to wrap this in another view, and we're going to give this a style and set that to styles.navbar, and we're going to wrap this text, and this text here is going to have style of styles.navbar title, and we're going to actually pass in a title through the properties, so we'll be able to access it with this .props.title. Okay, now for the style sheet or the style.js file, I'm going to put that right in the app folder, so save it as style.js. And in here we want to use strict and create a variable called React and set that to require React Native. And then we're going to create this style sheet, and that's going to come from React. And I'm going to set a constant value of constants, and this is going to be styles that we can use that aren't going to change. We're going to have one called action color, and we'll set that to hexadecimal value of 3CB371. All right, and we're going to use that for the add button. And then anything else you want to add on your own, you can use that as well. And then we're going to do module.exports and set style sheet dot create, and we want to pass in here some curly braces, and then this is where we're going to put all of our styles. So I'm not going to do that here in this video. I'm just going to save this for now, and then we want to bring that into toolbars. We actually want to bring it into all of our folders or all of our files, and we can say const styles and set that to require, and we want to navigate to that style file, so //style, and then we should be able to use the styles. So let's go to index Android now, and we're going to bring in the toolbar. So right here we'll say import toolbar from app/components/toolbar/toolbar. All right, and then we'll put that right in here. Just get rid of all this, and that's going to take in a title, and we'll set that to item lister. Okay, and we can get rid of all of these styles here, everything, even the variable, and then put that up here, const styles. Okay, and the location is different now, so we want to go /app/style. Save that. Looks like I'm getting an error here. Toolbar.js 16 status bar background color. Oh, we don't want a comma here. I'm just gonna tap R twice. All right, so now you can see that we have the Coral status bar now, and we have the title, which is item lister. Now I'm just going to add the styles just for the toolbar and nav bar. Now I'm going to paste it in just to save some time. So we have the nav bar, which is aligned to the center, background's white, we have a border bottom of gray, border width 1, height is going to be 44, flex direction row, nav bar title, color, font size, font weight, toolbar is going to have a background white, and height's going to be 22. So let's save that. And there we go. So that looks nice and clean. So in the next video, we're going to basically create a list view using just hard-coded items for now, and then later on we'll implement Firebase. Alright guys, in this video we're going to implement the list view, and we're going to start off with just some hard-coded items and then later on move to Firebase. So I'm going to create a function in index.android.js. And if you're on a Mac, you want to use index.ios.js, and we're going to call this get items. Okay, and we're going to create a variable called items, set that to an array, and that's going to have two objects with a title. So this will be item 1. Whoops. And this will have a title of item 2. Okay, so we have these two items, and we want to make this into a list view, so we're going to bring that in up here, list view. Okay, and let's see, we're going to create a constructor Okay, and we need to call super. And then here we're going to define our state. And we're going to call this item data source. And we want to set that to a variable called ds. And then we're going to create ds up here. Actually, we'll use let. So let ds equals new Listview dot data source. And we want to pass in here some curly braces and say row has changed. Okay, and we're going to say R1, R2, and then set an arrow and say R1 not equal to R2. So this is just standard Listview initialization for React Native. Now when we go and we call get items, we want to take this and put it into that data source, into that list view. So we need to say this dot set state, and we want to set the item data source, and we're going to set that to this dot state dot item data source, and then we want to just do dot clone with rows, and then pass in the items that we want to add to the data source. Okay, now this isn't running yet, so what we want to do is put this in component will mount so that we can call it before the component mounts. Say this dot get items, and we're also going to put it in component did mount just to make sure that it absolutely gets called. Alright, so now that we did that, we want to render the list item down here. Let's go under the toolbar and we'll say list view, and we need to give this list view a data source, and that's going to come from this dot state dot item data source, and it's also going to take and render row. We're going to set that to a function called this dot render row. All right, now we'll create that. So let's go right above the render and then create render row. Okay, and this render row is going to have an item, and we want to return. Oops. We want to return a touchable highlight, so we need to actually bring that in up here. Okay, and let's see, this is going to have an onPress property. We're going to set that to an arrow function, and then that's going to call a function called press row, and we're going to pass along the item to that function when it's pressed. Oops. Okay, now that touchable highlight is going to surround a view, and we're going to give this a style. Style is going to be styles.li, and in here we'll have a text that's going to have a style of styles.li text, and then inside here we're going to have the title, so we'll say item.title. So that's our render row. Now for press row, we're going to put that right above here. And for now, I'm just going to console.log the item that's passed in, just like that. So let's save that and see what we get. We may get an error. Yep. This.state.item data source. Let's see. Item data source. Oh, looks like it's stopping. And I'm pretty sure that's because we didn't bind this to the render row, or the press row for that matter. So what I'm going to do is go in the constructor here and say this dot render row equals this dot render row dot bind this. Okay, and do the same thing for press row, because it doesn't know what this is, so we have to use that bind. Okay, and then we'll try to open that again. So let's see, we want, whoops, what happened? We want item lister. I get a lot of crap on this virtual device. Alright, so I'm going to open item lister. Okay, looks like we have to refresh it. And there we go, item 1 and item 2. So they're now, these right here are being displayed in the list item. Or, I'm sorry, the list view. I keep saying list item. So let's add a little bit of styling here. We'll go to style.js. And I'm going to paste a couple things in here. So we have the container, background color, setting it to flex 1, set the list view to flex 1, the list item, setting background, some borders and so on, some padding, list container, list text. So let's save that. And let's see, did I not bring that into index? We might have to manually reload it. Styles.li, let's see. Styles container, why is that not rendering? Oh, this style is actually, we have to require this. So let's try that. There we go. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Looks nice and clean. So in the next video, we're going to implement Firebase, and we want to be able to pull our items from Firebase, not just in the local file like we're doing here. Okay, so that's it, and I will see you in the next video.